week, and now I'm back. And today we have our co-host, Mr. Dale Frey. I am going to bring him on up. Hello, Dale.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. Ready to shake things up. So first, before we get started, though, I want to say, hope you're feeling well. I know you just got out of surgery. Hopefully, you're not in too much pain or anything like that.
I'm getting ready to take my next dose of meds as soon as we get off of air. As soon. But I'm doing much better, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been calling, texting, messaging me. Thank you. I hear you. If I don't respond, I'm so sorry because I'm probably medicated and I don't look at my phone. So thank you anyway for all your prayers. Trust me, I needed it. And like the day after I had surgery, my nephew wound up being in a bad accident, so please keep my family in your prayers. We're just going through it. But thank you, Dale.
Absolutely. And I think we have Walter just joined us as well.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and bring Mr. Walker. He is our next special guest. Y'all give him a big round of applause. Walter, I can't clap for you. I can only do this here. I really can't clap. Y'all, I want to tell you the craziest thing ever is to wind up having surgery on your shoulder. You don't know how much you use your body until you can't use something, you know. And this has been very interesting, I would say. And I just have to thank my husband. He has been doing a wonderful job in making sure that I'm being taken care of. But while I was away, Lord, all kind of things was just breaking loose. We have the how would you call it, the assassin of Kirk. The you know I heard so much about him, and I have my own opinions how I feel about him. But at the end of the day, violence is not the answer. It's been going on, and like today we had an issue that happened out in Dallas area, and we're going to get into these topics and talk about it because I think we need to definitely speak more about gun violence. Our government is not really saying anything about it, but we got to speak on it because there has got to be some type of control in with the temperature being up on both sides, but it's really just one side that's really just doing the most, and they're trying to ignore it. But we got to turn the temperature down. You got to watch what you say because what you say might affect someone, and you never know what type of mental health these people are in, and they're gonna retaliate one way or another. But violence is never the answer. Why can't we just talk? I have an opinion, you have an opinion. Why can't we disagree to agree to disagree and move on? Because we all have families that love us. We have friends that want us to be able to see and talk to us. But I just want to bring that up. But we're definitely going to get into this topics about the pocketbook. I haven't been in the grocery store in about a week, but right before my surgery, oh my goodness, a can of soup is darn near $2. A little small can of soup is almost $2. And somebody said that they were going to raise the prices of grocery down. I don't see it coming down. I see it going up. And then we're still going to be talking about this um, general election, the voting centers where in Denton County they refuse to listen because we want early voting locations everywhere on election day where you can go and vote anywhere in the county instead of just having to go to your precinct. But we're going to get into those topics and let's talk about it. Dale, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Sure, sure. I'm not quite sure which one we want to start with, but yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, I definitely would say that violence is never the answer, and it's always a tragedy anytime anyone loses their life. But at the same time, too, when there's a tragedy that happens, the responsible thing to do is to try to keep calm and try to have everyone keep calm and try to, you know, analyze the situation, try to understand what happened, and manage things peacefully. The irresponsible thing to do is to look at this as an opportunity in order to raise the temperature even more. And I'm not sure if any of you all saw the funeral of Charlie Kirk and some of the speeches that were given there. And I will say, you know, the speech by his wife was kind of nice, but a lot of the other speeches were very irresponsible. A lot of other speeches were intentionally trying to raise the temperature even more. And I would say, you know, if you truly cared about Charlie Kirk, which I'm sure there are a lot of people who do, then you would not be using this as a utility to increase agitation even more in order to advocate for your personal political gains. If anything at all, that would be disrespecting Charlie Kirk's memory. But unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that happening right now, particularly if you watch some of the speeches, both Trump and I'm forgetting the white bald guy that I'm completely forgetting the name of right now on in his speech at the Kirk funeral. But yeah, violence is never the answer, and it it's not the first. Unfortunately, it won't be the last. We're seeing a lot of uh, violence and gun violence happening in our country. It seems to only escalate, and it's unfortunate. And if we continue to divide ourselves even more and more, it's only going to increase. So it's sad to say. Um, but also too at the same time, I know that I think we were talking about a couple of different subjects there, but yeah, I feel the pocketbook pressures as well in the grocery stores. I always thought it was very interesting when I saw Donald Trump talk about the price of eggs. I think he said talk about the price of eggs in his last State of the Union, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you know, someone like you I don't think goes to the grocery store. He doesn't shop at the grocery store. He has other people shop at the grocery store for him, right? As he sits there next to the richest man in the world, Hail Hitler, Elon Musk, and he's going to try to tell me about the price of eggs. It's a downright insult. I mean, I'm not sure how it's felt like in other areas. So, like Walter, I'll pass it over to you because I don't know how. I know that the economy of Wichita Falls is probably slightly different than the economy here in Denton County, but how are the grocery items and everything going on up there in Wichita Falls?
I'm the one that goes to the grocery store in my family, and I go often. I buy more than I should, but they had a good 3 or 4 weeks ago. They had a really good price on coffee, and I thought, other people had said coffee had gone up a lot, and I said, okay, uh, I'll I'll buy a couple or three. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, the price jumped 20%. And so I'm trying to buy things when they're on sale. I'm trying to figure out, do I really need this? We have a very uh, simple lifestyle, and I do a lot of cooking, and uh, we cook little things, meatloafs and fried potatoes and things like that. And uh, we go through a lot of Gatorade at our house. And I've been very frustrated because before COVID, I used to buy a bottle of Gatorade for sometimes on sale for 97 cents. And now it's close to $2. And the United, where I shop in Wichita Falls, until the 30th, they've got four for $5. And so I've got a cupboard full. And uh, it's not that I can't afford them otherwise. It's just that it's 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 the principle of the thing. And uh, when Bluebell has ice cream on sale, or United has Bluebell ice cream on sale, that's when I buy ice cream. And I've got a freezer full. And uh, but everything Uh, I shop at Target. I shop at United, and I try not to go a lot of other places. Uh, we've got uh, some crazy things happening in Wichita Falls. The city has decided to, they bought the mall, and they're going to tear down the mall and make a football stadium uh, and housing and specialty retail. And I hope it goes well because I'm fairly close to that location. Uh, my wife was on the board of directors when the mall opened in 1977, 75, 75. And it just, uh, it's been a change. Uh, but y'all tell me what's going on down in the Metroplex. I've got a daughter in Keller, and they do a lot of shopping at Walmart, and uh, they look for bargains too.
Yeah, I think we definitely are feeling it in the grocery store when it comes to these. I don't know if I should call them trade wars or tariffs, but the tariffs are certainly hurting a lot of our agricultural industry. For example, I know that I think I saw there was like a soybean farmer was complaining about how China, who I think is like almost one of the number one producers of soybeans in the world, is just not really doing business anymore with America. And I think I saw a statistic saying that I think the rate at which farmers are going bankrupt has doubled since these tariffs have been
Yes, yes.
engaged. So,
Uh, the the tariffs are tearing things up. I buy a six pack of Hershey candy bars for my wife, and they were uh, $7.49 a package. And about 2 weeks ago, it jumped to $9.49 a package, and that is a direct result of the tariffs that came down uh, on the chocolate industry. And you know, you're seeing it, and uh, farmers are going to be hurting. Uh, my understanding is that the state of Nebraska may be filing bankruptcy. Uh, 71% of their farm labor up there was uh, obviously immigrant, and they have left. And the farmers are going to go broke. And what's going to happen? And I don't know anything behind the scenes. I just know that when family farms that have been in the family for 3 or 4 generations end up going under, uh, it's these big corporate farms that buy up the acreage for 10 cents on the dollar at a bankruptcy sale. And it's not going to be good.
It
yeah,
really isn't. And I'm gonna cut in there. Yeah, because I've even heard about certain big box grocery stores are waiting in line to go ahead and buy up some of these farms that are getting ready to go in disclosure. They're getting ready to lose their businesses. And it's a shame that you have these predators getting ready to scoop up something when we have a government that is really the cause of a lot of this stuff, you know? So people better get ready and start preparing because there are going to be a lot of farmers that's going to be closing up shop because number one, they don't have the workers that they had before to help pick it, store it, or package it like they used to. And secondly, with the tariff going on with Trump setting a very high, don't make no sense standards of how we ship things out or what comes in, it's going to make it hard on everyone. So we definitely need to make sure that we start planning ahead, because I think we're going into a hard season and it's going to be rough. And especially this winter is usually when a lot of the states up north, they have a hard time getting the supplies that they need, because they might get snowed in with this crazy weather we have. And here in Texas, we just don't know what kind of weather we're going to get, but up north they pretty much know. So you got to prepare for whatever's going to take place there. And it's ridiculous. And thirdly, the food, because they don't have the people there to go and get the food for them, to pick the food for them, a lot of the food that they already planted, it's going to wind up going bad. So that's waste of money, that's waste of food. They're going to have to destroy it. So they got to come up with a plan to help take care of these farmers, because right now he's not doing a good job. He's never done a good job, in my opinion. He hasn't done a good job. And who's going to suffer? The farmers are going to suffer, and so are we.
Yeah, there was a town hall that was held. I'm blanking on where, but it was very telling because you could see it was almost everyone in the audience were farmers, and they were talking to their congressional house representative, and they're asking. It's interesting because you can tell they were all Republican. You could tell they all voted for this Republican congressman, and they were saying like, hey, like the so-called one big beautiful bill, like it's hurting us, and the congressman would just like flat out deny it. He would just basically say, no, you're wrong. And like you can see the look on these people's faces, like there it's not anger. I think if it was a Democrat and the Democrat said you're wrong, they would probably be angry. But you could see the look on their faces where like, man, this guy is just not on our side. You could see that they're finally beginning to realize it, albeit too late, of course. But yeah, it's a real dark situation.
Our congressman is Ronnie Jackson. Ronnie Jackson doesn't hold town halls. Uh, and thankfully, we've got a Democrat out of Amarillo that is running against him next year. And he's already declared, and I've met him. He has spoken to uh, in Wichita County, and I got to take a phone call.
Okay, I'll pull you off.
Yeah,
We are definitely live, folks. So whatever happens, usually happens on live, but he'll be back with us. So Dale, let's go ahead and jump into the next hot topic, because the pocketbook, we're gonna always wind up talking about the pocketbook, because what's going on is ridiculous. Everything is going up. The things that we love the most is going the highest. Cocoa is gonna definitely go up, because I think a lot of it comes from overseas. A lot of our cocoa comes from overseas, so it's going to be hard to pay these prices. So some of us, Halloween is going to show exactly how bad we are. So just stay tuned, y'all. When I know your pocketbooks are hurting, and some kind of way we're going to have to say, get it on sale. We're going to have to coupon it again. And we do have a comment, Dale. Eugene says it's hard to explain tariffs to Republicans. They will only understand it when it hits their homes, businesses, farms, and jobs. I think right about now, Eugene, is hitting everybody, whether they're Republican or whatever, or they might not even be in a party. It's hurting everybody. They're feeling it. They just refuse to admit that, hey, this is hurting my pocketbook too. So they're not going to vote for their best interest. They're going to always vote the other way around. It's sad.
yeah, they're never going to understand it until it affects them, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting how there's a lot of people who like just hate all gay people, but you'll notice that those people don't have any gay friends, right? I'm blanking on the quote now, but there was some sort of not meme, but like a statement that I saw online that was about Nancy Reagan, and how Nancy Reagan used to be like far more conservative than she was by the end of her life, because while she was like had hardcore conservative values, things started to affect her over time to the point where I think she might have been eventually somewhat leaning pro-choice. I think by the end of her life, even though she was absolutely pro-life beforehand. Just because as the timeline moves on, as things affect people, that's only when they actually wake up and pay attention. It's only when it affects them. The unfortunate thing is that there's so many people who just haven't had the experiences yet, and so they'll vote. They will unknowingly not vote for their own self-interests, and it's only after they vote and that hurts them, that's only when they begin to realize, only then, oh, this these particular representatives are not actually on my side.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead on, Mr. Dale, and move to the subject of local power move. Now, let's Denton County just saw a little chess move in the local politics, a quiet seat shuffle that could have big consequences. So we know that two, maybe three other seats in Denton County is up for grabs for 2026. And we're going to really see how this is going to turn out and what they're going to do. Of course, they are having this big issue with 35 getting ready to run another interstate through to try to lessen the traffic jams. But we have so much stuff going on, not only in Denton County, but we also have things going on in Tarrant County where I'm not gonna give him any credit whatsoever with his name. So that guy that's out there, that's the judge in Tarrant County, he's causing more havoc than anything and trying to even take more funds away from JPS. Do you know how many people that actually go to JPS to get help because they don't have health insurance? Now you're trying to cut even deeper than what you already have to where no one's going to be able to go to JPS for any type of help whatsoever. What do you think?
Yeah. So I also see that Walter's back. So welcome back, Walter. I'm not quite sure. It's about a broad spectrum of local politics, but I, I will talk about this about what is unfortunately very local politics to here. And I don't know if I'm like derailing the conversation onto another topic, but in terms of local politics here, at least on East Side Denton County, there is an absolute, I don't even know what to call it. I can't call it a travesty. It's chaos, absolute chaos. So, um, long story short, TLDR, we have the number one most conservative Republican here in District 106, Eastside, Denton County, Texas. And when I say the most, if I can share my window, if I can find that button, there we go. So, oh, Mac OS does not support sharing. Okay, then I just have to talk without uh, having visual aids. So the Dallas Morning News ranked all the state House representatives from left to right, and they ranked them all. At one point in time, Jared Patterson of State House District 106 was labeled the most conservative Republican. I'm trying to do the TLDR. TLDR, he's about to be barred from running for office. He's about to be barred from running for office, and he's apparently the guy who's going to try to run in place of him is a January 6th rioter, also sometimes called the zip tie guy. Now, in order to make sense of all this, we need to back up a little bit because before we get into how and why on earth the what guy who's labeled the most number one conservative of all the state house, how does that guy of all people getting barred from running for office? First, we need to back up. I need to give you some prerequisite information. In Texas, there are two West Texas billionaires called Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks, and they have a massive amount of money. Oh, there's my screen sharing. Um, so Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks have contributed more money into Texas state politics more than anyone else at the state level in Texas. Now, these guys are really bad news. They're not just ultra conservative. They believe that Jews should not be able to run for office. Case in point, when Joe Strauss, who's a Republican, Joe Strauss was the Speaker of the House of Representatives at the state level in Texas. And in the 2016 election, they said, "Oh, this guy should not be able to run for office because he's Jewish," and they actually successfully had him lose his primary. That's Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks for you. They're not just billionaires who contribute money into politics. They're also pastors, and they preach a theology called the Seven Mountain Mandate theology, which is an extension of New Apostolic Reformation. I could go into that, but it would take me too long. We're just going to go ahead and call it Christian nationalism. It's a particular type of Christian nationalism, but it's one that is so much more extreme. New Apostolic Reformation is extreme, and its extension, called the Seven Mountain Mandate theology, that stands on top of that is ultra extreme. These guys are bad news. Anyways, our state House representative, Jared Patterson, while he's a Republican, he openly called out Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks, and that pissed them off. Now, I'm going to show a video real quick. It's only about 5 minutes, but I'm going to try to show this video. And this is video, I cut this up, by the way. And I don't know if I can get this on the screen or not, but this is Jared Patterson. He's talking to our local news agency called, here we go. If you want to put that on the screen.
Responsibility, which is one of these, fake C4 groups that.
Now, what do you mean fake C4?
Well, so you've got these guys that are funding these groups, and they come up, they change their name all the time. It was Defend Texas Liberty PAC. They had the 7-hour meeting with the Nazi guy. We all said, whoa, that's, completely egregious. There's no way at all you should do that. So they go and change their name. I forget what the new name is.
Texans for a Conservative Majority or something like that. United
that.
for a Conservative Majority.
But they've got all these little groups like Texans for Vaccine Choice, Texans for Strong Borders, Texas Family Project, Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, with great conservative sounding names, but it's all the same 5 people that run each one of these. And they do that so that they can try to trick voters into saying, look, we're conservatives and we're supporting, this rogue candidate over here. And oh, by the way, your incumbent has voted to raise their pension this year. Well, no, we didn't.
Well, let's talk about that, because the groups we talked about, Defend Texas Liberty, Texans for United Conservative Majority, something like that's the brand new name. These are funded by Tim Dunn, Ferris Wilks, West Texas oil billionaires who made their money in fracking a decade or so ago. These guys are funding a lot of this now. These guys have made a lot of news. They're backing Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, and a number of others. But give us some examples of what you're seeing, because this has a lot of lawmakers talking with the mailers that are going out leading up to the March 5th primary. You're not the only one I've heard from who's like, this is insane.
And if you're a candidate, regardless of where you sit on issues, if they're coming after you, you're up against a torrent of money.
Oh, yeah, it's basically unlimited. And what happens is they find these misfit toys to run for office that no one would
these
invest
misfit
in.
Toys?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like this David Lowe that's running against Stephanie Click for the second time in Tarrant County. Yeah. These guys that no one would invest in, no one would actually get behind, no real grassroots movement would get behind these people, yet they sign up for office and they immediately have $100,000-$200,000 campaign plus in direct spending, plus the ancillary spending of all these fake C4 groups that are providing air support for these candidates.
But
so they become a legitimate candidate.
What's behind it, though? If they're trying to force out a conservative member and get somebody who, if you look at the continuum, is even further to the right in many cases, what is the point of it? What are they after?
Yeah, see, and I disagree that they're further to the right. I really don't. Like the media a lot of times will say, this conservative group, Defend Texas Liberty PAC or whatever. It's like, I was ranked the #1 conservative in the Texas House during the regular session this cycle. You're not getting to the right of me, on most of these issues, on any of these issues probably. And yet they tried to pull an opponent up for me for the same reason. It's not about right versus left. It's about I call them anti-Republicans, but ultimately what it's about is money. These guys, these group of 5 people that run all of these groups, they make a boatload of cash every election cycle. They make a percentage on every mailer that goes out, every text that goes out, every Facebook ad, every TV commercial. So the more people that they can get to run in the Republican primaries, the more that they can convince people that there is a problem in the Texas House, and they get people to sign up and run for office, then boom, there's mail pieces, there's text messages, and they get a cut of every single one of them.
And so this is, make sure our listeners and our viewers understand this. This is Republican versus Republican. We're not even talking about Democrats at all here. This is strictly RVR. Who's the group of 5? I mentioned 2 names. Who are the others?
Yeah, I can't even think of all their names, but it's like Luke Macias is one. You've heard him. Jonathan Stickland, the disgraced former state rep who served 8 years. Certainly, I can't even think of their names. I know if I saw them.
But then you have
Tony McDonald. You see their names on a lot of these forms that they have to fill out. I mean, it's all the same 5 or 6 names.
Well, let me ask you. You don't have an opponent for the primary, which is March 5th here, but aren't you? Why are you speaking
Watch
out?
this.
I mean, aren't you concerned that
This
you
is
might be
ironic right here.
targeted in 2 years?
Well, and I have been. You know, my first session, I was ranked the 8th most conservative member of the Texas House, and they drew me a primary opponent and had one person invest a lot of cash to try to defeat me. And look, I'm probably going to have a primary opponent next time as a result of this.
That is horrifically ironic. So he's acknowledging he's probably going to have a primary opponent, because you'll just notice that he listed out names. He didn't just talk about Tim Dunn, Ferris Wilks. He mentioned multiple others, and that made them very mad. So let's advance to what's happened recently. Within the past couple of weeks, the Denton County Republican Party and their precinct chairs got together and they voted to censure Jared Patterson. Now, this is not censoring, it's censuring. These are censoring and censuring are two different things. And what they're doing is they're making a motion to try to bar Jared Patterson from running for office. The Republican precinct chairs, actually, I could share my, oh, maybe if I can share my screen, I can show this. So, and Stephanie, I think you need to put it up there, but I just want to say it's very ironic that this guy, in fact, was ranked the number one most conservative member of the House. He has this picture on his website because it's true. He was ranked as the number one most conservative. And yet, if I can find here, I don't know if we can read it too well, but this is the Denton County Republican Party on September 5th, as announces the censure of Jared Patterson. Here we go. It was the precinct chairs voted 25 in favor and 11 against for censuring Jared Patterson. So what's going to happen now is that this motion is going to go up to the state level Republican Party. And should the state level Republican Party agree, then Jared Patterson will be barred from running for office. And that is what's absolutely insane. Apparently, the guy who is the number one most conservative Republican in the state House, because he mentioned Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks by name and these other individuals, they are now going to try to bar him from running for office. Now, who's going to replace Jared Patterson? We just found out. There's a guy called Larry Brock. He's a January 6th rioter. And apparently, actually, I didn't even know this. Walter, your chair actually was messaging me the other day. Chelsea was. And she was saying, hey, we got this January 6th rioter guy, this guy named Larry Brock. He's also known as the zip tie guy. And if you want to by zip tie guy, I mean, here's a picture of this guy who's broken into the congressional chamber. Here he is with his zip ties. And apparently, he's going to run for office. He's going to run for office down here for District 106 in place of Jared Patterson. It's ironic because I was wondering, like, why is Chelsea messaging me this? Chelsea's all the way out in Wichita Falls. I looked him up in Van. The guy actually doesn't live here. He doesn't live here. He lives quite far away from here. But it sounds like you can run for office. The only rules are you have to live in the district 1 year before the general election. So he does have time to move here to Denton County. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy to sit here and think, oh wow, look at that. There's our state House representative called out Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks. And so now the Republican Party, under the new leadership of Melinda Preston, who also takes money from Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks, has voted to censure the number one most conservative and get him replaced by a January 6th rioter. Anyways, sorry for taking up so much time, but you were asking about local politics, and I had to bring that up, Stephanie. It is quite crazy to see all these things unfolding. But I'll pass it back to you.
Wow. All I can say is wow. Those two, Ferris and Dunn, their name keeps coming up over and over and over again in the Republican Party and even in the Democrat Party. Their names keeps coming up because they are the billionaire, allegedly Christian pastors that are flipping the bills and pushing money into these politicians' pocket so they can run and do whatever they're saying to do. They're their puppets. So if you have not, you have time. If you want to run for office, especially in our Denton County area, you have so many seats that are open. Sign up, get your treasurer, go ahead and sign up to run for office. It's not hard at all. We can send you links or whatever. Message me and let me know if you want to run for office. Please let us know because we got to make sure that we put some good people in those seats instead of these bad, crazy folks. We don't need no more zip ties and crazy people in office at all. Walter?
Where am I? Am I there? Okay.
Yep,
And
you're
we
here.
didn't get caught up in the rapture yesterday, so I guess we're stuck here.
Uh, the reason Chelsea Streeter, who's the Wichita County Democratic chairman, is concerned about Larry Brock is because uh, he's speaking tomorrow. He's speaking tomorrow night. Today's the 24th. He's speaking tomorrow night to the Wichita County Republican Women's Association. Uh, and it is why they would have a January 6th rioter, insurgent, who served time in prison before he was pardoned, along with all the rest of them. I don't know, but he is speaking tomorrow night, and I'll be interested to know what the news has to say about it.
Yeah, I was when Chelsea told me about this. I forgot she did mention that as well. And at first, I thought to myself, she must be confused or something, because why would someone who's running for District 106, which by the way is East Side Denton County, Texas, and for the listeners who don't know the geography, I've driven to Wichita Falls multiple times. It's like a 3-hour drive one way. Wichita Falls is far away from here in Denton County, Texas.
Right.
So the fact that this guy is speaking up there in Wichita Falls about a race that is 3 hours away is quite interesting. I remember looking him up in a van though, out of curiosity, and I noticed that he doesn't actually even live in Denton County. So he must be planning to move to Denton County in order to run for this position, I suppose. But it is interesting that Wichita Falls, I love you very much, but you're really far away. You're 3 hours away from here. So I'll be curious to see or hear what he has to say at that group.
I will report back to y'all.
Well, definitely. Well, let's move on to the latest news about what happened today in Dallas area, where there was, I guess we could say it, there was some ping, ping, ping going on down there in Dallas at the ICE agency facility this morning. Three people are pronounced deceased, and one I believe is still injured. And one of the deceased is the person that were allegedly had done the ping, ping. So I'm like this. I'm really so over it that they always want to go ahead and pin the left side and say, oh, it's the left problem, and the left people are getting threats on top of threats. But the person or the people that are responsible for a lot of these mass shootings are on their side. But they refuse to acknowledge that. But the message that they're putting out, it hurts Democrat Party. I feel like the temperature needs to come down a lot, and it starts with I don't care. It starts with the president. You started this when you went to Mr. Kurt's funeral and said what you said, that you hate your opponents. So you know that you have people that listen to every single word that you say, whether you joking or not, because there was a report saying that, oh, he was just joking. He wasn't joking. He meant exactly what he said, because you can see it in his actions. So now you have people that's going to decide to take the law into their own hands because they feel like the police officers are not doing the job the right way. So they're going to go ahead and do it. So that puts innocent police officers' lives are in jeopardy because of the diarrhea of the mouth that they're saying. You got to watch what you say, because what you say sometimes will turn around on you or affect someone that is absolutely innocent. you're causing more issues. So you need to turn the fire down. And those of you that are sitting up here spewing out all this hate, you got to stop, because all you doing, you're not helping the situation, you're making it worse, because there are people in your camp, and there's probably people in the other camps too, that have issues that want to take the law into their own hands, but you're stirring up a bunch of stuff that's going to end up getting innocent people hurt or killed. So I'm tired of it. I'm like, enough is enough. Quit spewing out hate. This country is so divided. I don't even know how in the world we're going to make it the next 3 years with all this hate. It's too much hate going on, and it got to stop. It has to stop, because what's going to happen? Innocent kids are losing their lives, and we don't even have gun control policies in place to protect our kids that go to school. Those children have PTSD. They are trained better than you and I on what they're supposed to do as far as hide and run when a gunman comes into their schools. When is it going to stop? Then I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, like I was kind of saying earlier when we talked about Charlie Kirk, we definitely need to lower the temperature. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors out there who when they see a tragedy, some bad actors out there see tragedy as an opportunity, and because when emotions are high, uh, and uh, and anger is raging, a lot of people can be easily redirected towards something. So someone who is very emotional or angry, a bad actor with a really good tongue could probably manipulate that person and redirect their anger towards whoever that speaker wants to direct their anger towards. I also want to make sure that we have our facts straight. I think from what I understood, I know that one person died. I think the other ones, I don't think they were quite pronounced dead yet. Or when I say yet, I know that they were in critical condition. But the shooter, who's been identified as 29-year-old Joshua John, who is actually from Allen, Texas, so like right around here. Um, he apparently was seemingly just shooting at almost everything and everyone. What was interesting here is I don't think any of the ICE agents actually got hit. It was actually detainees, from what I understand, were the ones hit. None of the actual ICE agents were hit. And apparently, this 29-year-old Joshua John, apparently he did write anti-ICE on the shell casings. Because apparently, I guess everyone's writing on shell casings these days. It's interesting to see how, not interesting, it's unfortunate rather to see how copycat actions happen all the time. Like, with the mass shootings, like it happened in was it Littleton, Colorado, I think. And then all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of shootings. There's this one guy, Luigi Mangione. He killed that one CEO guy, and he wrote letters on his shell casings. Now we're seeing a lot of other people kind of doing copycat things. That we're seeing more people more often write on shell casings, but it's definitely a harsh situation. I do want to highlight that the individual who shot at these ICE agents, who are, whether it be ironic or not, never actually wound up hitting any of the ICE agents and only hitting detainees, who also killed himself. Um, while he did write anti-ICE on his casings, I would be hesitant to say whether or not this person is like a Democrat or a Republican. And quite frankly, I would say it doesn't really matter the political affiliation. But unfortunately, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of bad actors out there in the media who are going to try to twist this into a left versus right issue, as we've seen a lot of times with like the Charlie Kirk shooting, for example. Before we even knew who the shooter was in the Charlie Kirk situation, we saw a lot of bad actors in the media claim that the shooter must be trans, right? When they found out it was actually just a cisgendered white male, then they said, "Oh, well, he must be like in a relationship with like, his trans roommate." Like they focused so much on that, and it's a disrespect to the memory of Charlie Kirk, and in the situation too, it would be a disrespect to both the officers and the detainees who were shot, to try to twist this into a political thing. So I would be hesitant to try to pin this on politics. We definitely have a lot of gun issues in our country and gun violent issues in our country. And every time this comes up, I keep saying over and over again, even though it falls on deaf ears, we need to have red flag laws, and we need to invest more into our mental health programs. But I don't know. I just don't really know what else to say beyond that. But Walter, I know it's difficult, but I'll pass it off to you, I suppose.
Hold on. We have a comment. Copycat. Some of the information from these shooters shouldn't be released to the public. I agree with you on that because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I can do it better." So we do have a lot of copycats that are doing it, and they don't care that it's going to wind up ending their lives. Walter, back to you.
I agree also. I think that uh, I mean, first of all, the FBI has laid off and fired most of their experienced people. They have brought in people who are only subservient to the administration, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. Uh, I I don't know what I would be doing if had been a civil service servant for 30 years, and all of a sudden this administration starts laying off people. They, I saw the news uh, this morning or yesterday that they've hired 2,000 air traffic controllers, and since I'm a pilot, that rings a bell. But they had already laid off a whole bunch, and uh, and pushed them into retirement. And then they found out that there was a problem, and they're also trying to speed up the training program so that it's just 4 months long. Uh, I've known air traffic controllers, and it's a hard job. And unfortunately, this administration is sometimes doing things just for the reactions and not caring about safety. Uh, I don't know much about the shooting today down at the ICE uh, facility, but I agree with the writer that we don't need to have any more copycat killings.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm seeing another comment because I know that we stream on YouTube, but also I stream on Facebook as well. Um, this might be maybe our next topic, or maybe we could just do it briefly. A comment is saying thoughts on James Comey being indicted. Um, I'm actually not up to speed on that, but I did hear, I believe Donald Trump was saying that the Department of Justice needs to investigate basically his enemies. And I believe he did list a couple of individuals, including James Comey. Now, I mean, by investigate, this is one of those things where I know that Donald Trump can dump a word salad, and sometimes his minions have to figure out like what that means, or what that is code for, right? So,
What that's code for is we're going to file charges, and James Comey's going to have to hire lawyers, and those lawyers are going to cost millions of dollars that James Comey doesn't have, and that is the whole goal of the administration is to ruin anybody that has ever said no to you, and this is abhorrent. I cannot believe that the Republicans are letting this happen. Congress is supposed to take care of tariffs, not the president. And when the president goes ahead and tells a small group of people, by the way, on Thursday I'm going to stop the tariffs for 3 months. Please use that information discreetly and buy and sell stocks. This is uh, I've got a friend that writes on Substack, and I'm going to get a couple comments from the today's thing. So I'll come back in just a second.
Okay.
sure. I will say this too, because I had to immediately chat GPT this because a part of my brain says, "Wait, isn't James Comey a Republican?" And looks like, according to ChatGPT, he always has been. He has recently. He's no longer considering himself a Republican, but he's not considering himself a Democrat. It's
Well,
always
I'm sorry. I was going to tell you. You know, we have a Georgia lieutenant governor that switched over to be from a Republican and switched over to being a Democrat, and I believe he's going to run for governor of Georgia as a Democrat.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know. Well, that's some good news. I had no idea that happened. Wow.
Yes, that's just happened.
Okay. All right. Hey, I could use some good news, especially in this day and age with everything that's going on. So,
I'm telling you, we need some good news all over the place, and I'm telling you, we need more Democrats running for office, and this is so important. We have an election coming up in November. If y'all didn't know, it's a lot of amendments that's going to be on the ballots, and we got to get you out to go vote. We know that. Go to Lone Star, I believe it's Lone Star, and you'll be able to find those reports of what exactly is going to be on those ballots, or just go to your county and find out what's actually on your ballots, because this is so important for us to get out to go vote, because a lot of things that's on these amendments is going to cost us in the pocket. And if you like me, I'm tired of them hitting my pocket. I'm looking in my pocket and blowing in this dust starting to come out of my pockets, because we getting hit, we getting taxed so much, and it's coming to a point where a lot of these homes that we have out here, people are getting taxed out of their homes. Enough is enough. When are the people that are making all that money going to get their tax? Because of course, Walter can speak for that, but a lot of people are getting going through all these loopholes to get these tax breaks where they're paying a little tax, if not nothing. So something has got to change, and they got to pay their fair share, because enough is enough. The middle class people and poor people are saying, we're tired of holding y'all on our backs. We're tired of you. So I'm gonna take you off my back, and we need to do something differently. And I also was told that, hey, there's some people plan on not even paying their taxes. And I'm thinking that's a good idea, especially if they're not listening to us and they're doing whatever they want to do. But we'll get fined for that.
yeah. Also to jut in here, I think when you said Lone Star, I think you meant to say Lone Star Left. So if you Google Lone Star Left Michelle, it's an independent news agency, and I believe the woman who runs that is called Michelle. So just Google Lone Star Left Michelle, and you'll see her reports on the amendments that are coming up. There's constitutional amendments. If you live anywhere in Texas, that's coming up this November. Constitutional amendments will be on the ballot. Um, I don't think any people will be on the ballot unless you live here in Denton County, Texas. If you live in Louisville ISD, there's a special runoff election, and Michelle, I can never pronounce her last name, but there's a woman named Michelle who's a Democrat, and we need to really get her elected. But yeah, so look up Lone Star Left Michelle, Google that, and you'll find the guide for the amendments coming up for this upcoming November election.
They have a Lone Star Left. I have already posted on Facebook their whole list of amendments and an analysis of the amendments and their thoughts on whether to vote for it or against it and the reasons. And we ought to go ahead and start reposting that every month to get, or every week, to get people alert to voting. I'm going to give a shout out to Cheryl Savage. She writes on Substack, and today's the topic was SOP, which stands for Standard Operating Procedure, and the title is "The Winners Take All," and they don't care how they do it. And she is like me, a certified public accountant, but she was an auditor with a big four firm, and so she is much more attuned to the fraud and misstating things uh, by the large corporations. And it's a very good. She writes good articles, and I would suggest and uh, and you can subscribe to them now, and they're free at this point. So, but she's a smart cookie, and she knows what goes on with the big multinational companies that she's been auditing. So, Shout out to Cheryl Savage.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. I'll definitely have to check her out. I don't think I've heard of her. I'm also seeing a comment. I know we don't have that much time left before the hour is up, but I did see a comment in here. Maybe I didn't pronounce the name right. I'm going to take another crack at this. The name of the special election for Louisville ISD, her name is Michelle Alkatib. Probably not pronouncing that right. I can never pronounce her last name. Then also someone's asking, we still don't have a strong Democrat running for Texas governor. Andrew White announced, but I don't consider him a strong candidate. What are your thoughts? Who would you like to see running for governor? I don't really have an answer to that other than, man, I wish it was James Tellerico. I mean, I'm so happy that James Tellerico is running for Senate. But I was really hoping he would run for governor. But that's just me. I don't know.
I think Hannah Hoso is thinking about running. She decided not to go for re-election, so there's a big possibility that she's going to run for governor. So we just never know. They got time, but they need to hurry up.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and so for those in the audience, when it comes to who is going to really actually run for office, there's an open filing period, and I'm blanking on when, but I know it starts in November, and I believe it ends in early December.
Right.
So if you want to run for office, you actually can't necessarily, well, you can't file right now. You have to wait until open filing period.
Yeah.
And the deadline for that is early December. And when that deadline passes, then we know for sure who's going to run. People can actually change their minds at the last minute. I mean, I know I did. I wanted to run for a state house for District 106, and I wound up switching over to State Senate District 30. That happens. A lot of people tend to wait to the very last minute to file to run for office because a lot of people tend to wonder, well, who am I going to potentially primary, or am I sure about this race, or is there something else where I'm more needed, type of thing. That happens to a lot of candidates. So we'll definitely see what happens.
Okay, and we do have a comment. Please pay your taxes. We don't need additional problems if an audit comes. I agree that they are taxing folks out of their homes. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Eugene. Please, y'all, make sure you pay your taxes. I know someone was saying they plan on not paying. I'm gonna pay mine because you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm a black woman in America, and usually things don't go in our favor. So I'm gonna make sure I pay my taxes because I don't need them up in my business. I just
Yeah, I do know that there's a push to. I know that churches right now. This is an interesting thing because I know that churches are supposed to not be political, or at the very least, not endorse political candidates. And if they do so, they can lose their tax exempt status from the IRS. I think there's a motion right now. I think there's some movement to try to remove that requirement to allow churches to be, in fact, political while still maintaining their tax exempt status. It's an interesting thing to come up because I know, like, on principle, I would say, hey, like this, we need to have the separation of church and state. And
Mhm.
I do believe like holding churches to say, all right, you won't get to keep your tax exempt status as long as you remain apolitical. Like I do believe that on principle, but maybe my cynical brain is too cynical. But when I say this, but I feel like a lot of churches are already political as it is. I mean, I've seen plenty of churches not necessarily endorse candidates flat out, but in between the lines, you can see that they are, while still maintaining their tax exempt status. I mean, it happens everywhere, right? I mean, I don't know if when it comes to the tax exempt status in churches, if you're seeing that or not, but I'm definitely seeing it happen around.
What I do know is if you are a church and you're accepting money from the government, you cannot talk about the government whatsoever. I mean, people can come to your church and say, "Hey, I'm running for office," but the church cannot get involved in political things, even though they are on the flip side, they are getting into it. But it's like there's certain things that they can say and certain things they cannot say, certain people they can support, but at the end of the day, if they're getting money from the government, they're not allowed to talk about politics or get involved in there. But I do want to say something about a comment that we had on Facebook. Antonetta, she says, we still don't have a strong Democrat running for Texas governor. Andrew White announced, but I don't consider him a strong candidate. What are your thoughts? who would you like to see run?
Oh yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier, and that's why I was like, man, I wish it was James Tellerico. But
You know who I would like to see run? I would love to see Jasmine Crockett run for governor. That's who I would
um,
like to see. I think she's. I got three people that I think that should run. I think Jasmine Crockett. I think what is her name? I think Hannah Hossel. I can't think of her first name. She should run. And then I'm gonna throw Wendy Davis back in there. I think Wendy Davis needs to come back and run for office now, or run on. I can never pronounce his last name, but he's down there in South Texas. He's one of our senators. He might need to be running for office as well. Ronald Gonzalez, Gotera.
if you're talking about the guy from Uvalde, his name is Gutierrez, I believe. He, I believe, he actually ran. He ran for congressional senate in the last election cycle. So he was in the primary against the Democratic primary against Colin Allred. There's actually quite a few people vying for that seat, but Colin Allred wound up passing the 50% threshold, and thus there was no runoff election. Um, Gutierrez, of course, was able to run for that position because the Texas State Senatorial 224 system makes half of the state districts run for 4 years and the other half run for 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
he was able to run for congressional senate while still holding his place at the state level senate. Uh, Now, in terms of Jasmine Crockett, I don't think she's going to run state level because she was actually asked that question long before James Tellerico announced that he was running for congressional senate. WFAA, which is a local ABC news station here, said they host also a podcast called Yolitics. So if you Google Jasmine Crockett and Yolitics or Jasmine Crockett WFAA, they actually asked her that point blank because they said like, oh, you would be a great sit-in for congressional senate that's coming up. And her response was basically that she really liked being in the congressional house, and right now at this point in time she doesn't feel comfortable running a statewide election because that would have her go all over the state. Um, so it's an interesting response. I understand that she's very well known, and she's also very well known in her area. It sounds like maybe she feels like uh, her name is not necessarily well known throughout the entire state enough for her to run, which I kind of disagree with. I feel like she's on the news enough that I feel like the country knows who she is. I mean, she's like the Texas version of AOC, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
but also, Walter, let me ask you a quick question here because I know someone in the Facebook comments is saying, "I hope someone runs against Ronnie Jackson." Did you say that we do have a Democrat running
Yes,
against?
we have a Democrat out of Amarillo. Uh, he is running. He was on the Amarillo City Council uh, for a while, and let me find his name.
All right, cool. Sorry for the background noise. My cat's freaking out. Yeah, no, Ronnie Jackson. I think is he the doctor guy? Someone who
Yep,
gave uh, what, something about what did he do with Donald Trump in medicine? What was that? I forget now.
he was presidential physician, also for
I
Obama.
familiar.
Oh, for Obama as well.
Yes,
I did not know that. That's interesting. I know he's a Republican for sure, but okay. Yeah. Well, and also remind me, Walter, Ronnie Jackson. Which district number is that? Because I think Ronnie Jackson's district actually does stretch all the way down here. I think it grabs
yeah,
Denton City.
13th congressional district,
13. That's right.
and it goes all the way from the Panhandle down into Denton County.
Okay, so I believe we have somebody that's going to be running for 13, and that's something I'm gonna have to wind up doing my research on. We'll bring that back next week, and I know next week we have Amy. Oh Lord, she gonna kill me. We have Amy that's running for I think 27. Mom, y'all have to excuse me. I'm on meds. and I got brain fart real bad.
That's all bad. You
But
just got a surgery. It's all good.
I know. So if I sound funny, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to go, folks.
Okay, Walter, you have
All
a good
right.
one.
See you
Thank
later.
y'all.
Well, I think we are getting to about time, so we would probably about
Yes.
close up about now.
It's 8:06. Y'all, we want to say thank y'all for coming on to Let's Talk About Our Staff. And of course, thank you, Dell, for being the co-host that you are. And we'll be back next week with some more folks that's going to be talking about their candidacies, which is the meds are working as required. No, they're not. I'm still hurting. I'm ready to go take some more meds. I'm taking Benadryl pain medicine and look like I gotta go get some hot tea and honey. I think my husband doing a good job, but I think he needs some help. I'm a lot. Dale, you mind closing us out?
Actually, I said sure, but I got to take myself off mute. Yeah, so before we go, I want to plug a couple of entities real quick. I want to plug the Frisco Democratic Club. We have a happy hour coming up this Friday. This Friday in Frisco. You can find out more information about us at friscodemocrats.org. We have a happy hour. What I do is I bring in an amplifier and a microphone, and any candidates that show up get to speak. I'll also be talking about all the events that are coming up. Usually, our county chair for Collin County, his name is Jeremy Suka, usually shows up as well and talks about different events that are coming up, the different protests that are coming up. We have another No Kings protest coming up as well. Another entity I want to plug is Progressive Toastmasters. If you go on to Facebook and look up Progressive Leaders Toastmasters, we are a Toastmasters group that is political and it leans to the left. So if you go to a normal Toastmasters group, you might not feel comfortable talking about politics, but you can here because it's a safe space for Democrats. Go to Facebook, look at Progressive Leaders Toastmasters. We meet every single Monday at 7 p.m., both online on Zoom, if you just want to see what it's like over Zoom, and also in person as well. It's in right around the Flower Mound area. It's in Lewisville, Texas, is where we meet. So yeah, FriscoDemocrats.org. We meet this Friday for a happy hour. Progressive Leaders Toastmasters. We meet every Monday at 7. And aside from that, my name is Dale Frey. I'm running for Denton County Commissioner for Precinct 2. We'll be sharing more information about that later. I got to get my website up, tracking my feet a little bit on that. But more information to come for Denton County Commissioner Precinct 2. Stephanie?
Well, thank you, Dale, and congratulations on your run. I guess I can actually announce that my name is Stephanie Draper, and I'll be running for County Commissioner Precinct 4.
Yes. Should click that applause button right there.
Let
Thank
me
you for,
click it right quick.
I was wondering when you're going to finally announce.
Somebody actually had got it out of me last week, and I'm like, these dang on meds. And then he was like, I've been sitting on this forever. Are you going to go ahead and announce? I'm like, you know what? You got the first announcement that yes, it's true. I am going to be running, and I hope to get to meet everyone that's in Precinct 4. And we gotta make some changes. So I'm like Dale, I'll get more into this later on this year about what the platform is about. And I'm like you, Dale, I had to get the website up, and I'm always looking for volunteers. So y'all keep us in your prayers and everything, because we're gonna need it, because we got the GOPs to run up against. But thank y'all, and we will see you next week. We got a couple of guests that will be on talking about their campaign. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, please. We got to get these numbers up so we can bring more candidates on to talk about what they're doing and what they need and how can they help Texas. See y'all next week, and y'all have a wonderful week. Ciao.
All right, cool. That was a good session.